crap, that was one of the most insane interviews I have ever done. This guy, Akhil, has one of the most crazy, unique client getting strategies I have ever heard of. He landed 2 clients in 2 days by going on Bumble and Hinge dates. Went from 0 to 7K a month in 2 dates. Dad got sick, had to go to hospital, lost it all, quit copywriting completely, started again a few months later, and then went from 0 to $25,000 a month in 2 months with a very unique and interesting LinkedIn client getting strategy. Today, makes over $30,000 a month, try not to fall off your chair, working 6 hours a week by using AI to do all of his work for him. Truly insane and inspiring story, and there are so many golden nuggets in this interview. Make sure you stick around until the very end to learn how Akhil did this and how you can do the same. Let's get into it. I used Tinder once and I got catfished in Vancouver by a man pretending to be a woman, so I was scarred.
I used to be nervous talking to girls, so I had all this data wrapped into, I had a whole script ready for talking to girls. I used to just make up things at that point. I went on date with 6 girls, and this is why email marketing is the best thing.
Okay, that's different. You said you were making 32K a month, working 6 hours a week. Man, this is a crazy out of the box strategy. Ladies and gents, I have with me a very special guest. Akhil has joined us all the way from India, originally from the UK. And what a freaking story this guy has, man. You've been in CMB with us for how long? 2 or 3 years?
It's 1.5 years from now.
1.5 years. Wow. Is that all? Because,
Yeah.
dude, I know you joined us in Resistance for a few months, and then was it your dad had some health issues and you had to go deal with that, and then you basically just disappeared for a year and then just resurfaced in the group chat a week ago, and you're like, hey, what's up, guys? Just hit 30K a month. I was like, yo, where did this guy come from? Out of the blue, just bam. So, man, there's a lot to unpack here. I want to go through your journey. I want to go through your story. I want to talk about where you started, how you got into the world of copywriting, how you got your first few clients, because you hit 10K a month pretty quickly. And then I want to talk about the journey from 10K to 30K a month. You said you were stuck at 25K for quite a while. It's the problem most people would like to have, I think, stuck at 25K. But recently you posted in the chat and you basically said, hey, just had my first 30K a month. I think it was 32K last month in May. Is that right? Yeah. And you broke past a plateau that you've been trying to break through for a while. So we'd really love to talk about that as well and how you scaled. And I think most impressive, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That is insane, bro. We need to talk about that because I don't know, that's not bad. I would probably trade my business for 30K a month working 6 hours a week if I had a choice. So welcome back. Firstly, it's good to have you here alive. I want to rewind back to the beginning. So if you could share a little bit about your backstory, how you got into this whole copywriting world, what you were doing before entrepreneurship, and how you got started. I think it'd be really cool to see sort of where you came from.
Yeah, so I don't really have a glamorous story like most people, like Andrew and everyone else. I just one day got up and just was outside with someone and just decided my bank account was not good enough for me to go out and enjoy the luxurious lifestyle that you see Andrew Tate and stuff do. So I just decided what's the best way to do it. So every normal entrepreneur, I just joined the real world, which was at that time. And over there, they were if you have low money, just start copywriting, got into the course, and then just got addicted to it, learning about it. But the problem over there was the information was just basic garbage for 3 minutes videos, which I didn't feel was good enough for me. And in order to scale, I needed someone to just hold my hand and say, you're up here, you're doing this wrong. So I researched 3 or 4 people on YouTube, and finally on Reddit one day, while you do market research, I found your name on it. I was like, okay, let's see what this guy has to say. So I bought your cheat sheet, which was the free Instagram one. And over there, I was you had your course price. I was there's no way I'm going to join. It's too expensive. And just 2 or 3 weeks after, I just hopped on call with Ben and just joined the course because I knew if I had kept going on the same way, I didn't think I was going to progress. And after that, it was just basic hard work and stuff. It took me the longest to get my first client. I think most of people generally get it between the 3 months. For me, because of my work, which I was doing as a sports analyst over there. So I had to go 4 hours in travels. I have to run 8-hour shift. So like 12 hours of my day completely gone, and I have to sleep like 10 hours a day. So I had like basically nothing to do, like 4 hours of work.
Yeah, okay. So just like pretty much every other copywriter these days started with Andrew Tate's program, which is it's funny how common it is. It's almost like
Yeah,
everyone has the same backstory at this point, which is interesting. So yeah, from what I've seen, they seem to teach some decent copywriting skills in there. Because to be fair, most people who have come from the real world or Hustlers University or whatever are pretty good copywriters. Like I've read their copy and samples, and they seem to be decent. It's just the client getting side of things, from what I understand about the program, is like not very good, and so that's where they struggle. So interesting, you found me on Reddit of all places. Normally, Reddit is like a cesspool of haters, and everyone just hates everyone on Reddit. It's just all negativity. But yeah, that's cool. Whoever's sticking up for me on Reddit, thank you, appreciate that. And yes, you ended up downloading the cheat sheet and joining us in CMB. So from there, you said it still took you a little while to get your first client. So like, what was that journey like? What did you do to get your first client? You already had the skill, like a pretty decent foundational level from Hustlers University, so you could pretty much just get straight to work getting clients without having to like learn copywriting from scratch. So like, what was that process like? How long did it take, and how did you ultimately land your first client?
yeah. So the main mistakes that I made along the way was just putting generic messages out and hoping that someone gets out. So I used to do like 50 to 60 messages a day just to land a client, and every one of them had the same opening message. So none of them got any reply. So after like the first month, it was like, okay, it just happens. Second month was like, okay, it should be hitting by now. Third one was like, okay, everyone else is winning. I'm not. Must be something wrong. Fourth month, I was like, okay, that something is wrong. And I called my dad quickly,
Mm.
like, I've just started this. Like, I didn't tell him that I started this business. And I'd asked him, like, is there something wrong? He told me, like, when he started his business, it took him like 6 months to get like even one paying client. So you need to at least wait 6 months before getting good at the skill. Because as important it is to get good at copywriting, you have to get better at client getting as well. Like they both are like the same skill wrapped into one, in my opinion at least. So for the next 6 months, I just got better at DM writing, which is more important for appointment setters, and I got very good at networking. So those two are the only factors why I'll say that I got like really lucky. That's
Got it. Yeah. I
and
think that's a good point you mentioned there. Like a lot of people in today's day and age, they see all these crazy success stories. And I guess I'm partially guilty because we have a lot of insane success stories too of super young people who come in and they go from 0 to 10K a month in 30 days, 25 days, 24 days. That's our current record. And they think that that's just like normal, right? And so people come in kind of expecting that, oh, within 1 month, I'm going to be making six figures from this new skill that I have no idea what it is and I'm going to like learn it. It's like, yeah, it's possible, it's happened, but don't expect that. You know what I mean? It's like, think about how long it would take to hit six figures with a degree. Like, the traditional path, like you're looking at 4 years just to learn the skill and then getting an entry level job and working your way up to a six-figure salary. So it's going to be like 6 years in total. So, yeah, I think it's a healthy mentality to go into. And I firmly believe, like, if you just knuckle down and if you're actually really committed to getting good at any skill, whether it's boxing, copywriting, dancing, music production, dating, whatever, right? I think anyone can get really good at a skill in 6 months of like 6 months of dedicated focus and effort. So I think it's good to have that expectation going into it. And it's cool that your dad actually set realistic expectations for you from someone who's, I guess, been in entrepreneurship before. So was that how long it took you to get your first paying client? Was it 6 months?
yeah, I used to do like commission based work, but most of them didn't end up paying me at the end, which was really disappointing. But yeah, that's how I first got into it.
Okay. So you had some commission deals along the way, but you just had scummy clients who didn't pay you. Yeah, that always sucks. Sucks when you work and you don't get what you deserve, but it's a good learning lesson anyway. And you would have got experience too. I always think about it like you could say everything happens for a reason. Everything like has a silver lining to it. I think it's whether you believe it or not, I think it's a healthy way to live anyway. Otherwise, you just live in regret. So yeah, it's cool because like that way, at least you're getting real world experience working with a real business, right? And it's like that's what most copywriters never get in the beginning. And most aspiring copywriters then they just have this theoretical knowledge of copy, but it's like they've never worked with a real business. And so they have no idea how it works in the real world and they never get experience and like feedback and see how the copy actually performs and results and like optimization of the process and everything. So it's cool because like you would have actually been learning on the job and getting that, and even though you didn't get paid, which sucks, you still got some very valuable like learning lessons, I would say, and helped you get experience for when you did get a real client, and then you could come on and crush it for them straight away. So, all this the stuff always compounds, right? It's like there's no such thing as wasted time or effort if it's sharpening your skills. That's what I believe. So the first like retainer client, how did that come about?
I think this story has been told multiple times at this point. It's the main one was started with Bumble. So for me,
I remember this. This is crazy.
it
Yeah.
so what happened was I had this set system where every Saturday and Sunday I have to go out. And at a point, like 6 months into it, I used to go out just because I used to get free food for them. So I was like I get free food out of it, and they get a nice person to talk to. So it was a fair deal at that point. And suddenly one day, the person that I was with just mentioned something like, "Oh, one of the persons who's my friend is into business, and he was looking for a copywriter." And guess what? I'm a copywriter. So I was like, "If you're open to it, would you be able to do a two-way introduction?" And that's where it started. That's when I got my first client, which was like 10% commission for the first month, and then it was going to like 3K a month. And the same day, the next day after that, I got someone or the same friend reaching out, and then I got like she was Norway's biggest like TV influencer. She just reached out randomly saying that, "Oh, I heard that you're working for this person who's also my friend. Would you like to work for me?" And over there, I already had a client, so I just said it's gonna be 4K for whatever you're doing. And that's how I got like 7K within the first 2 days, apparently. It was like 6 months in, 7 months in that point.
Yeah, that was insane. Was that like it was around August last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember we had a bunch of people in CMB all of a sudden having really big wins, like going from 0 to 7K a month,
Yeah.
like in a few weeks, that sort of thing. And so we did the August roundtable where I like got them all on a call and I was like, okay, what are you all doing? You're all getting clients in different ways. Like everyone share what they're doing. And yeah, everyone had pretty normal strategies. And it was like Operation Jailbreak, reverse outreach, which is like the main one that we teach. And then, yeah, you came along and you're like, yeah, so I just started going on all these dates with MILFs. And then all of a sudden, then I got a client from it. And then I got a referral from it. And now I'm at 7K after 2 days. And I was like, okay, that's different. We need to see what's up with that. So, man, this is a crazy out of the box strategy. I'm wondering if like people should even try this. I wonder how many people are going to start trying this from after watching this video. So,
Sure, them.
yeah, so basically the thing was like you forced yourself to go out like on dates and like just socialize. Was it every Saturday and Sunday?
It was just that you need some kind of social stimulus to get you going because all day you're just cooped in outreaching. You need something to freshen you. So that was the thing I went with. Most people go out for golf and stuff.
So that's how it started. Because you're just like, I'm spending all week behind the computer. I need some human contact. And so you just pushed yourself to do this challenge, basically. Was this like a 75 hard challenge thing, or was this just your own sort
Uh,
of rule that you
this
gave yourself?
this challenge actually started before copywriting, so it was just like I used to be nervous talking to girls, so I
Mm.
used to push myself to do this. Like I had like all this data wrapped into one, like what works, what doesn't work. I had a whole script ready for talking to girls. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, most copywriters are super introverted, to be fair, right? Nothing really good comes from
yeah.
labeling yourself as an introvert. I mean, I am a natural introvert. I'm an extreme introvert by nature. I was too shy to talk to guys or girls, like 10 years ago in high school. I was a complete nerd. And I decided one day, I was like, this belief and this label of being an introvert doesn't serve me, right? It's like everyone I look up to and admire who's killing it at life, who's making tons of money, has a great social circle, is great with women, and like has everything I want, the house, the car, blah, 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 celebrities. Like pretty much everyone I admired was like an extrovert. They were confident. They were like the alpha male. They were like the man, right? And it's like you can't really think of too many people who are like the man and they're super shy and awkward and introverted. Like you can't really have both. And so I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna be an extrovert instead, you know? And it's like a label. You just take one label off and you're like, oh, I'm done being an introvert. I'm just gonna try this extrovert thing. And of course, it's really awkward and uncomfortable in the beginning, and you're just like terrible socially and you're not a good conversationalist. But like anything, just like copywriting, it's a skill and you can learn it. And I even bought courses and that sort of thing on how to become more confident and charismatic and, dating courses and like social group dynamic courses, like how to create a really great social circle and all that sort of stuff, right? And there's like no shame in doing that at all. I know you said you kind of laughed, like you were, half embarrassed by it, but it's like, I used to do the same thing. I remember, I think it was like when I was 18 or something, I had like a script of like funny one-liners in my wallet when I would go out, and I would like go to the bathroom and like read them, and it would just put me in a good, I guess, flirty, charismatic sort of state to go out and talk to people. And yeah, I mean, fuck it, you got to do what you got to do in the beginning, but. Yeah, that's really cool. So firstly, I commend you for doing that and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone because most people just live life in a comfort zone and wonder why they never grow. And it's because growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's true.
So I want to hear though how how going out on these Hinge dates, was it Hinge, Bumble? What was the app?
It was Hinge and Bumble, make sure.
Both of them, okay. I've actually never used any dating apps in my life. Maybe I'll have to start after today's interview. But actually, I did. I used Tinder once, and I got catfished in Vancouver after Dan Locke's event by a man pretending to be a woman. So I was scarred for life, and I never used. I literally went over to her house, and it was a fucking guy. Anyway, long story. I'm not going to get into it. So, how did we go from Bumble to like landing them as a client? So you were talking to this lady, right? And she happened to need a copywriter, or like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So she just reached out saying that there's something wrong. Like I've been doing this, but nothing seems to be working. So I was like, we could just chat for a few minutes. It's not a sales call because I suck at sales calls for people who don't know. So we went on like a 15-minute chat. I was in her office, just saw what was wrong with her funnels. Well, main problem was messaging on social media. Ads were completely like fucked up, and she had no email marketing. So my basic was I would help set everything up, uh, and she just paid me for the first month in commission, which was around 7 or 8K for me, which was not too bad at that point. But the rest came when we went from commission to like retainer deal. But I never do retainer just uh, as a whole because I feel like I can earn more through what you say rev share deals. So I always do retainer plus rev share for every deal what's going on. And that's how I got like my first line. It took me like I landed around 7 months after 7 months in, and 9 months later I got first pay, which was very bizarre for me
Hmm.
because there's a term in which there was in the contract like after they get paid they wait for 30 days before they send the money in because some people just refund after 30 days. So that was just a clause we had kept it just.
Gotcha. Okay. So basically, it was like meant to be a date, and then she was like, "I've got this problem with my business. Can you help me? Because I see you're also into
Yeah.
business." And so it just kind of happened organically like that. Yeah. Yeah, man. Honestly, a lot of the best clients normally just come from your network. And, it's funny, recently I did a video on, I forgot the title of it. It's like a tier list video, right? And so if somebody's seen like the tier list videos on YouTube, S tier, A tier, whatever, and it was like a tier list video for client getting strategies. And for me, networking, like IRL networking in real life, it was like the second from the top, A tier, right? Because it goes back to this concept again, what we're talking about of going out in the real world and meeting people. And yeah, it's scary if you're introverted, but all my best lifelong connections, friends, like girlfriends, other types of girlfriends, all that stuff, have all come from in real life events, just going out and meeting humans in your city and in other cities. And so, yeah, if anyone's watching this, like, get out of your house. If you want to make more money, have more friends, and live a better life, leave your living room.
Yeah.
Or a tip, it's a lot of the best connections I've ever made with club promoters or other artists or DJs or people high up in the dance music world who have managed to get me like booked at some pretty cool places or business connects or whatever. It's like some random person I met at a party or a dinner or an event or something who I never would have expected to be like quote unquote useful. You know what I mean? Not like the person who's like, oh, this guy's the multimillionaire who I really want to meet. It's like, no, I met this random guy or this random girl who was just super well connected or just knew one person or she was a bottle girl at this club and like was really good friends with the promoter who could book me or something like that, right? It's just like, it's a cliche saying, but it's like your network is your net worth, right? And so the more people you know,
Yeah.
or the more people who know you as well, the the more you're going to be able to accomplish in general. Like the more opportunities you're going to have, the more like random doors are just going to open, and the more you're going to quote unquote get lucky with these opportunities, and everyone's going to call it luck. But it was like, was it luck, or was it you putting yourself in a position strategically to get lucky? That's what I think.
Yeah, so that's how I met like one of Frank Kern, who people don't know, is one of the biggest like names in the industry. His
Mhm.
advertiser was just sitting in my network. Like we were been friends for 6 months, and I'd not send a message in. That's like how I got into touch. Like that's when I got to know like, oh, there's so much potential here that I don't even understand. So I just started talking with everyone in my friends list, jumping on calls 3 to 6 days. Well, really fun way to learn more about the business for a complete newbie like me. And now I think I know a lot of people in the network. It's really fun.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's always how it goes. So cool. Um, this is a pretty crazy strategy. Okay, so you got two clients in 2 days from doing this, like in one weekend, basically. 3.5K, 3.5K, or what was the deal structure like? So when it was time to negotiate the deal, close the deal, because this is something a lot of copywriters struggle with, right? They're like, okay, there's a client, I see potential here. We can do business here together. I can help them in some way. They want my help. How do I seal the deal? You know what I mean? Like, what's the best deal structure? How should I go about doing this? And most of them undercharge. They take on bad deals, or they offer, way too low. They basically lowball themselves, or they just screw themselves over in some way, which usually just comes down to like low self-belief. But how did you go about structuring that deal?
For those two deals separately, what I was going on was I was really scared of what to charge because it's easy to say like, oh, 3K, 4K, but when they're face to face, it's just like that much pressure because in your head, they're like over here and you're over here. Like, what do I do now? So
Yeah,
I just said, I'll take for the first month, we can do the 20% of the deal cost. And after that, we can go like 3K plus 10% on commissions. And I don't know why. They just said yes without anything. And then I was sitting there like I could have charged more at that point. But
yeah,
yeah, that's how I got my first one. The second one was a bit more like, oh, I will not take 3K, I'll take 4.5K, which is like, I thought it was fair in my head. And they just said yes. I was like, okay, that was easy. Uh, yeah,
great.
that just happened.
Yeah, man, so many freelancers are wildly undercharging, and it's a good sign that if someone says yes immediately and there's no pushback at all, then your price is probably too cheap, right? As you said. And it's not a bad approach, what you did. It's like when you're closing your first ever client, just pick a price that feels fair to you and probably add a little bit more because you're probably undercharging. And then the second client, you can always increase your price, right? So the first one you might say 2K, right? And then the next one you go, okay, that worked. I might say 2,500 and that worked. Okay, the next person I might say 3K, right? And you can just keep going up like that until you kind of find the sweet spot where you're closing usually about 30% of deals is kind of the sweet spot, maybe 30 to 50. If you're closing way less than that, maybe you're bad at closing or bad at communicating your value in the offer, or maybe the price is too high. So you can kind of just find the sweet spot after that. But that's cool. So you kind of just made it up on the spot. You're just like 20%.
No
Sounds
plan.
good. Yeah. Okay. Well, it worked out for you. So like what were you doing? What was the deliverable for this service? Was it writing her emails or appointment setting, or what were you doing?
Uh, it was a LinkedIn ghostwriting at first, so it was just writing posts for them. That's it. It was like writing posts 30 days for every day. And they even gave me an option like you can schedule the post if you want, which is great for me. I used to finish every one of my tasks within the first every Monday. I used to finish like the week worth of tasks and just leave. The same for the other person was mainly emails and writing a bit of like content for the social media. Emails took like 15 minutes at max. Like every email is just, for me, it was like, okay, this is what I want. I just finished it. And the same one was repurposed for social media. So it didn't take much long for me. It was just, I used to get a lot of free time.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So that was purely just like 20% of sales from writing LinkedIn posts. So she must have had like a pretty big LinkedIn audience.
She had like 10,000 people.
Okay. And like how much did you end up making her? And what was your strategy for making sales? Just to get a bit more like tactical.
there was no strategy. I'll be completely honest for that one. Like since that was the first one, I used to go on YouTube and search videos on how to do this because most of the time, like at the start, you just say, "Oh, I can do this. I can do this." But when it comes to executing, you just sit there and Google, like on ChatGPT on how to do this. So that's I put out a whole content plan. My idea was I'll do like lots of value posts, and then on weekends I'll do like the sales post. I had such massive plans, and uh, I used to just schedule it, and like people would just engage. I was like, okay, this was easy. That this method was completely like, I used to get like 15,000 impression for a post, and she used to close like 10% of the people who DM, which was completely like really bad for her. But the people were ready to jump on call. But she was like really busy at that point, and I had suggested her to get a VA, but she said no, I don't want to, which is fair because her coaching program was charged at around 3.5 to 10K, and which was really bizarre. Like one was like 3.5K and the one was 10K, and most of the people would want to be interested in 10K, and after the sales call would be buying the low ticket product, which was disappointing for me. And I had suggested like I'd be taking like closing lessons on how to close sales call. I was like really pumped up. I was like, I'll do the sales call for you so I could get more money out of it. But she just ended up saying no because she said she wanted to learn more about her business, which was fair. And yeah, that's how my first one went. The second one was a bit better because I had now an idea of what was working for this person. This person's niche was completely different, which was fitness. And I had no idea about female
Right.
fitness.
So what was your sort of research process like to nail the voice of someone who's completely different from you, right? Because you're a man, she's a woman.
Yeah.
You're talking to a group of women. You're pretending to be a woman talking to a group of women. It's like that's not easy for any man to pull off, right? So it's like, what was your process to really dialing in her brand voice?
Yeah. So my main idea was I used to hire someone from Upwork to do the research from Reddit and competitor analysis while I do the same. This was at the start. So I used to then compare notes on what was working, what wasn't working. I had like them fill out a big onboarding form, which was like 3 pages, just to analyze like how they talk, what's good, what's special about them, what's special about their program, what's special about how they speak with their clients, what's the biggest success story. There's so many more. Like that was just to get an idea, and it wasn't to get the whole thing so I can put it into ChatGPT. I wouldn't do that, but maybe sometimes. But I used to do that to get like an idea of what was working. And I think Reddit is the best place to find out like uh, what people's opinion are because they are very unfiltered. So yeah, so I had to like do like 5 days of market research for them, just like 2 hours a day. That's it. And I used to just go from there. Had this whole big pile in like Google Docs, put everything into ChatGPT, and say like, this is the brand, or this is the person, this is the type of content I want. And that's it.
Got it. So you hired a VA to scour Reddit and go through forums and Facebook groups. And what like were you looking for exactly? Was it just market research in terms of, what are their pain points, problems, goals, desires, ambitions, frustrations, what keeps them up at night? What do they hate about existing alternatives? What's the goal they want? What do they not want to do? What have they tried before? Is it just the usual list of stuff?
Yeah, it's just the usual and something like if something has not been said, like a unique point that hasn't been mentioned yet. So I should just try to find it, but it's hard to find on Reddit. The easiest to find was in Amazon sellers, where people just say, "Oh, this is what the thing is, and this is what happened to me after this. This was a transformation." So I used to sometimes go and just take the transformation and just reword it through Claude and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah. And then when it comes to the actual voice of the client you're writing for, how did you go about nailing her voice? Like, did you just go through a bunch of her blogs and YouTube videos and website and Instagram posts and try and mimic the style? Did you use AI for that,
so
or what was your process?
what I used to do is just downloaded every reel that she had posted, descript everything, and there's a tool that Kenneth said that I don't remember at the moment. It's just stay like in my bookmarks. It just helps you analyze the voice. So you just post it, and then we post the one that you've written, and it helps analyze like how close it is.
Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. So it's like a Chrome extension or something.
Yeah.
And so you just
It's
put
not a
them side by
promise.
side and you're like, this is her copy, this is mine. How can I make my voice sound more like this? Like, what are the tonal
Yeah,
differences in dialect and, energy and word choice and verbiage and all that stuff?
yeah. I used to at the start I used to do more like but after some time I started to just try to advance it, like just so it makes it easier for me, just having small words replaced by what I would use. So I wouldn't like my memory would. So sometimes I forget things, so it gets easier for me to write that at that. So
Yeah.
just evolution of her writing.
Yeah, yeah. It'll come naturally after a while. Cool. Okay. That's a pretty cool chapter one. So basically the second client came from the referral from the first girl that you met, right? And then so you just got two clients pretty much straight away, both on a similar commission deal, which then moved to a retainer later. And that was the 7.5K that you cracked in August last year.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I remember that. I was just like, bang, straight to like 7.5K. And you landed like three clients in 3 weeks or something, didn't you?
That was after.
After, okay.
That was
So what was the story like from that point onwards? You got your first two clients, well, first two proper paying clients who actually paid you.
yeah.
And then what was the process like from there to go to like 25K? How long did that take? What was the journey like? Like, did you leverage those two clients to get the next two, or did you have a totally different outreach strategy? Did you just keep going on more hinge dates? What's the story there? Let's get into the second
So
chapter.
so for that it was completely different. So what happened was in November, my dad had got seriously ill. So at that point, I didn't know what to do at that point. So I quit copywriting completely. I had referred those clients to my network and then just shut myself at home and didn't know what to do at that point. So I was just sitting there hoping like he gets better so I can like do more stuff. And I remember in the hospital, he just called me and said like, "The fuck are you doing with your life?" Like I've never seen him swear at that point, and that was the first time. Like you're not gonna sacrifice your life just because something bad has gone wrong. And next day he said that if you don't start working, I'll throw you out of the house. I was like, okay, that was fair. So
Indian
within
parents,
like
man. Gotta love it.
so in November, I started like doing everything again. So I had built the whole LinkedIn funnel at that point for myself, which LinkedIn is quite easy to crack for people who don't know. I used to get like three people wanting to jump on calls with the post. I used to get like lots of impression. I was like, okay, I, I should maybe cover my face with glasses or something. I'm quite famous at this point in my head. I wasn't that famous, but
Hmm.
so what happened was like I used to get like calls like every day with people, but I used to close none of them. Like that was like I had a record of going like 24 or 25 calls, closed none of them, which was really shocking at that point
That's
because
crazy.
every one of those were my ideal clients. And they used to say, "Oh, great call. Just send me a market proposal and I'll get back to it." I was like, okay, this guy wants to sign. I used to waste like hours making market proposals, send them to it. I had like 191 market proposal, and none of them wanted to work for me. So, so from that, I learned one thing. Like, I had to hire a mindset coach for myself, saying that this is what you need to change about yourself. Most people don't need it, but for me particularly, like I had in my head, like, oh, this guy's here, this guy's here. So after like 3 or 4 sessions, what happened was I just started thinking I am here and this guy is here because he's reaching out to me for help.
Yep.
So before sales calls, I didn't know how to do a sales call. So what I used to do was I used to try various tactics on saying like, oh, what to do. And one day, like on Instagram, I was just scrolling and this guy and I just got to talk. We jumped on call, and before the call, he was like, "Oh, it's fine. My business is fine." And I just yelled at him at that point. I was like, "What do you mean you were fine? You replied to me my message after 5 minutes of me sending the message to you. You were busy scrolling on your Instagram just like I was. You're wasting your time. I'm wasting my time. Why don't you want to buy my services?" At that point, I didn't know where that came from. And he just said, "Oh, no, 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 it's not that. I think you'll do best, but I don't think I'm ready for it." I was all a load of crap. And that's when I realized like there are four types of people in the industry, like people who are leading, break even, who are leaking, and who are like completely leading. You need to analyze on what kind of person you want to reach out to. Because if you talk the same language with people who are down there, people who are up here, they're not going to work for you. Like if you tell someone who's the leading person in the industry that I can make a 3x, right? Like, why would I do that? But if you say that the person who's break even, they'll be like, okay, I'm interested. I want to be the leading person. So that's when I realized like messaging had to change from some point. And I used to do after that I used to do a lot of networking calls because I in my head that was the most important one. So I used to get on networking calls, graphic designers, appointment setters, closers, copywriters, just to see like where they are at and just try to be a helpful friend, just to grow my network. And they used to refer me clients every day. So that was how I got from this stage to like going to 25K.
Yeah, I see. That's interesting. Okay, so you did mainly LinkedIn outreach. What was the
Yeah,
strategy on LinkedIn? Was it using like Dripify, one of those automation campaigns, or what was the approach? Because you're
I
booking tons of calls, right? Managed to book 25 calls, which is pretty impressive. So I'd like to talk about how you managed to do that.
I used to book through LinkedIn, but Dripify was fine for first, but then I just did manually. So what my strategy over there was, I used to schedule my post at 6 a.m. US time. So an hour before, I used to follow every top creator out there. And whenever their post went out, I just used to comment on them and just used to like every person's comment who ended up commenting. And over that, they used to see, oh, this person liked my comment. They used to come and visit my profile and they used to interact with my post. And some of them were interested because the way I used to like my LinkedIn post, I used to do like funny stuff. And so they were not interested and open to talking to me. Plus I used to add like 50 people a day through Sales Navigator. So yeah, so those were the two strategies I used for LinkedIn until my LinkedIn account got banned a few months ago. Is that they never gave me a reason to it.
Bastards. Okay, that's interesting. So you're posting on LinkedIn, general like copywriting, marketing posts, like email tips, like what sort of stuff are you posting?
I used to post a lot of what was working in the market. I used to post lots of my personality-driven posts, which was I did this. Like I used to walk with a cat. I had a dog named Zeus. I used to just make up things at that point. Like I went on date with 6 girls, and this is why email marketing is the best thing for you. And the at the start, it was like most of the people didn't understand what I was doing because most of the people who reach out and say, I have 10,000 people in my list. How do I, how can your service help me? And when you go to the list, it's a CSV file downloaded from Sales Navigator. I was like, it's not the same thing that I'm doing. So I had to like change the whole wordings from there. Uh,
I see.
I used to mainly say like, this is how you get email leads. I made like 16 lead magnets at that point. Really fun.
Got it. So giving away lead magnets on LinkedIn, like I know people who do that
Yeah.
very successfully and they get tons of organic reach, dozens and dozens or even hundreds of comments, people wanting the lead magnet. So you said you were liking people's comments. So were you going into like marketing groups or going to like the profiles that your ideal clients follow and then looking who comments on their stuff? Or like what was the lead gen strategy there to get people to visit your profile?
So So for that, I had like a list of 10 or 15 people who were like who my ideal clients used to follow. Then there were 10 people who were like the top people in the industry. I used to just have them a notification on for me. So every time like they posted, every one of them, every 25 one of them, I used to just make a comment on their post. And every person that has commented on their post, just like the comment, I try to get a conversation going. So once they commented, you can just freely just message them at that point because they're willing to interact with you. And at that point, it was like a lot of people said that, oh, that's your post was so wonderful. You should do more video posts. I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to do video posts. And that's how like I got a lot of people in my network. I had grown from like 10 people to like around 5,000 people within like 6 months or so.
Right. Okay. So just to recap, like someone's completely starting from scratch. They just made a LinkedIn profile. What's the first step? Like, what should they be doing? So start with daily posting.
Mhm. Daily posting is a must. This can be a video or one of the big long form posts. The one that works most is the video, obviously. Long form post still works. The second would be following people in your niche you want to target and who you want the post to reach out. My recommendation, I wouldn't use any hashtags for it because that never works. Doesn't work for Instagram as well. So for that, and then just transitioning into saying the big name, just widen your market a bit to get more people's eyes on your product.
Hmm.
And if you're brave enough, just try to run LinkedIn ads. But after seeing like lot of people's LinkedIn ads and how they run, I wouldn't recommend it as much. But if you do, your post will obviously get.
Yeah. So you just follow people in your niche. Like, so you want fitness coaches, for example, dating coaches, whatever. You'd follow those people. And then you go through their connections, or like, what's the step between that and booking the calls for you?
I just interact with the people who have commented on the main person post, and I would send connection requests separately to people through Sales Navigator who are actually using email marketing, who are in my niche, and they would accept at the conversion rate from that to from the moment they connected to me messaging them, it's around 80% because they were more open to replying to me. And then in terms of DMs, I've completely cracked the code in terms of LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook DMs on how to get people. So it's a basic structure. Like for cold DMs, it's completely like you have an opener, then you have a casual conversation, then you go to frame question, then golden question, and then you go to problem solving. And then finally, in terms of like booking calls, it has to be something like, well, I can't type all this on my laptop at this moment. I'll be stuck here for an hour. How about we just jump on a quick 15 minutes call?
Mhm.
And if I can help you, I'll be more than willing to do that. If I can't, I'll refer you to someone in my network.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great approach to get people on the phone. You always got to frame it as being a valuable use of their time, right? So normally I like to go in with like a hyper-specific downsell, so for example, like getting someone out of spam or promotions or just fixing like
Mhm.
one hyper-specific problem. It's not like, oh, let's get on a call to talk about your whole email marketing strategy, right? It's just like fixing this one specific thing. And then you basically say, hey, on the call, I'll show you what to do. And then if you want to go off and do it yourself, you can. Otherwise, if you want to hire me to just do it for you, like most people choose to because they're busy business owners, then I can just do it for you instead, right? And we can talk about that. So it's like either way, it's going to be a good use of their time because, of course, like no one wants to get on sales calls, right? Just like you don't want to get on a sales call with someone else, they don't want to get on a sales call with you. And so you got to position the call as being an actual good use of their time, which is something that most people don't understand. So yeah, good job for that. And so you were just like DMing people who were so like what niche was this? Did you choose a niche? Were you just going after a whole variety of people? How did that look?
I was going whoever was using email marketing at that point, whoever had a website and was willing to do email marketing. That was the niche at that point.
So anyone with an online business was your
Yep.
niche. Okay, so then so you just followed a bunch of entrepreneurs basically. Because that's
Yeah.
pretty much everyone on LinkedIn, for the most part. So and it was just like looking at people who are posting, following them, and then seeing what other entrepreneurs are commenting on their posts. And then you were just like DMing all of those people or sending them a connection
I
request.
wouldn't DM them. I wouldn't send them connection to. So I would just like the comment, and if they're receptive to me, they automatically send the connection request. I wouldn't do anything. I couldn't send more than a certain amount for LinkedIn, and I'd already uh, put the allocated LinkedIn request for the people who are with the Sales Navigator thing, so I couldn't send them request.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, LinkedIn would just
So you were just liking
limited
hundreds of
returns.
people's comments a day, and then it was just a numbers game. So maybe 10 people out of 500 or something would follow you or send you a LinkedIn message request, whatever it's called,
Uh,
connection request.
it,
And
it,
then
the
after that,
connection request,
you would message them.
the connection request was higher than that, so it wasn't like 500 to 10. It was like 100 to 10 at that point. And I was really tempted to hire a VA to do more liking the stuff because it would be so much easier at that point. But LinkedIn had strict laws against it, apparently. I didn't
Mhm.
know. I used it and just got banned from it.
Ah, there you go. Well, lesson learned. Now you know for next time. Maybe you could create a new LinkedIn profile and just start again. That could probably
I
work.
tried it. They didn't allow the same one again.
You have to change your name, change your number, change your identity, get a new email, wear sunglasses, and then try again. That's yeah, that's pretty smart though, man. That's a pretty good approach. It's a good example of, work smart, not hard, right? Just go like a bunch of comments a day, it won't take long at all, and then there's a connection request. And then after that, what's your typical like opener DM for everyone who sends you the request?
It used to vary. I used to try like the most like uh, common DM that got open. No one would expect this at this point. It was Hey Name. That was the one that got the most replies. I was like really surprised because everywhere you see, you have to send like massive pitches or stuff. But the ones were like, "Hey Name, how are you?" That was it. That was the one that got the most replies. I had like made 16 and 17 like funny ones like, "Hey first name, like hope you're having a great day. If not, tell me who to beat up." I was the one that was working on Facebook. I wasn't working on LinkedIn. It was really kind of like an eye opener for me. So I made like 17 and 18 DMs, and like just I used to send them to every person. I had a big sheet on saying that from DMs to conversation, like which of the opening message was working the best. From the opening message to like booking the calls, like where am I fucking up? I had to like analyze it. Found out like I'm fucking up with the follow-ups. So that was the main area for me for improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good you actually track that stuff, right? You're taking a scientific approach, putting it all in a spreadsheet, saying messenger opener one, messenger opener two, 100 of each. Okay, which one got the most responses? And it's just taking a very like methodical, analytical, step-by-step approach. Most people literally are just pissing into the wind and just sending a bit of this, bit of that. They never actually pay attention to what's working, and they wonder why they don't get results because they're not doing any optimization at all. Because you need to track before you can optimize, right? And so that's kind of the first step. That's pretty cool. And it's also funny because we have done a lot of the same stuff on Instagram, right? So Instagram's kind of my platform. I never really use LinkedIn. It's kind of the place where people with ties and shoes hang out. So it's a bit like, not for me. But the same exact thing we found on Instagram is out of all the opening messages that we tested. Now, granted, these were to new followers, right? Or people who basically, yeah, followed us first. I say us, I mean me, followed me first. And yeah, the one that got the most responses was "Hey name," right? It's just like "Hey Jordan" with a little fist emoji or a bicep emoji or something. Now, the caveat with that is it starts the most conversations, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily like the most productive, right? So you'll start the most total conversations, but then a lot of those will just be small talk waffle. Especially, I mean, we're doing B2C, you're doing B2B, so it's a bit different. But when we were doing that, we were like, okay, there's a lot of conversations that kind of go nowhere, and it's very difficult to transition to like, so do you want to learn copywriting? Compared to like when we would just make the opening message, like more what we're using now, which is a bit more like, hey name, appreciate the follow. Are you also interested in making an extra, income with copywriting? Just asking because most of my audience has similar interests, right? So it's a much more direct opener, but the people who do respond, the conversation immediately, it's like, okay, now we're talking about business, right? So we're not like wasting our time. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then so from there, like, how would you kind of segue it to booking a call? Like you said, hey name, and then say, hey, Akhil, what's up? And then you just look at a specific thing in their funnel that maybe think you can help them with. You go sign up to their list and then look for specific things you can help them with, like look at their funnel, or what's your kind of approach from there?
So my basic approach is to make a friend out of it. So in LinkedIn, they tell you like what location they are from. So I used to Google like what's like if it's in Sydney, what specific thing about Sydney stands out? Like what's the most unique thing that no one has been to, like the hidden gems and stuff. And then I would say like, oh, this is the hidden gem. Then I make a sentence saying, oh, I saw that you're from Sydney. Have you been to this place? I was here last year. Never been there. I should just say that, and then they was like, "Oh, have you heard about this? Oh, wow!" And that's how the conversation started flowing. And I know, like after three messages, we got stuck in the friend zone. So before that, just for the second message, I would say, "Oh, your life must be fun over there. Like, how's your business and work life related?" So they used to then go, "Oh, this is my business life. This is my work life." Then, then after that, I was just like nudge them towards like, "Oh, you say you're a big business person. How's that going?" So that's when they start telling their problems. And once they lay out a bit of their problem, you can just say, "Oh, I do a lot of stuff revolving around that. Would you be open to like uh, uh, help with that?" And they would normally say yes or no. And based on that, you can just go to their golden question, which is what's the question that makes your ears go like this? Like, this is the one where I want, like, what's the biggest problem with their emails? Like, that was for me. And they used to answer it and then just go. Very easy, like after that. But the most important thing in DMs that I found is like a triangle system that I believe in. It's like how affable you are to the person, how relatable you are to the person, and how much the conversation is. The conversation needs to happen very quickly. So if you wait like 2, 3 hours, the conversation flow has broken up. It's not ideal. If they're
Mm.
replying, just reply a 5, 2 minutes, 5, 7 minutes. Sort of. This is the
Yeah, no, that's really smart. Yeah, speed to lead is super important. And I feel like a lot of people are hesitant to message back quickly because we've kind of been taught that it's needy or, it's like you want to communicate status and value by appearing busy and all that stuff. And it's the same mentality behind like, show a partially filled calendar, which to be fair is like what I used to
yeah,
believe in and what I used to do. And so I would purposely only have like 3 slots available a day. But studies have shown time and time again, I talked to Alex and Lizzie about this, who used to run Alan, which is like the software company that booked millions of calls. And they found that just having the most amount of bookings, just being the most available and being the most convenient option is what works. People, if you have 15 slots a day open for the next like 3 to 5 days, that's the other thing is don't have slots open, next week. It's just like 3 to 5 days out max and maximum availability so people can book in at their convenience. So it's kind of this, it's the same school of thought, right? You kind of cut off there before. So you said there's with the triangle, the 3 pillars you believe in were so one was like speed of response, and then what was the other two?
the main other two was affinity, which is how affable you are to the person. Like, and the second one is reality. Like, what's the shared reality between you? Like
Hmm.
that's the main point of the casual conversation. Like if you say you are in Australia, and I like a certain part of Australia, so you will be more affable towards me because I like the place where you live in. The shared reality between us is that we both like to visit this place, and the conversation is flowed that way. That's how most of the conversation needs to be. And that's where most people get it wrong in DMs.
Yeah, and again, it's the specificity of it, right? And it's like in a
Mm.
way you're creating the in-group bias effect, which is exactly what I
Yeah,
talked about in my clients on command DM, the thing that you said you started with me with. Great English. So I used to do it in the way of saying like I heard great things about you from name, and the name being a mutual friend, or I say mutual friend, it's just someone who they know. And you can just say, name said great things about you. This person said great things about you, or this person told me I should check out your program. And I guess you could say it's like a semi-white lie or whatever, but you just bypass the stranger filter in their brain and you go straight to
yeah,
the front of the queue. It's like going from the general nightclub queue, which is like a kilometer long, straight to the front of VIP in the person's mind because they go, oh, this person must be someone I know, or not someone I should know, or a friend of a friend, or someone in my network, or someone who I should have met but I haven't met yet, right? And so that's like my whole philosophy with cold outreach is it's like how can we just not be a stranger in their mind at all and just like kind of sidestep it and just go, strictly. So from the first two clients, like I guess when you came back from your copywriting vacation, you started going hard on LinkedIn. How long did that take? Because at that point you were basically back at zero, right? Because you dropped to the first two clients. So to go from zero to 25K a month, first I want to hear like what was your actual offer, and then how long did that take?
there was no actual offer at that point. It was just basically finding out what's the number one thing that's holding their business back. And after that, it was just finding out like, is there a skill that I have that can help them? Is it email marketing? Is it script writing? Is it DM setting? DM script writing? Is it any of them?
Mm,
If it aligns, then yes, I can help them. Some of them are like appointment setters. Some of them was like writing VSLs. Some of them was email marketing. Some of them was like content writing. So it all varied at the point. And in my head, it was basically like until you have a certain money, like certain amount, don't go to offers yet because you don't know what the audience wants yet. So don't try to just say, I'll only work with email marketing clients no matter what, because you're just hamstringing yourself at that point. So I just put my market very saying like I can help a lot of people. And yeah, that was the offer at the point. It took like from I started on November 17 or 18, and on January 7th, 18th, which was 3 days after my birthday, I went to 25.
18 days after your birthday, you what?
So from November 18th to January 18th, I
Yeah.
went from 0 to 25K.
Wow. That's insane. So in 2 months. That's crazy, bro. Wow. 0 to 25K a month in 2 months. That is seriously impressive. I don't know if we have anyone else do it that quickly. That might be some kind of record there. That's pretty insane. So how many clients was that in total that you landed with this LinkedIn system?
Uh, it was four, but most of them was like commission deals as well included. So it was certain amount plus commission. So most of the money I earned was through commissions. So that's why I always prefer rev share deals. This is what Gabriel told me. Like
Hmm.
he's one of my good friends and part of CMB. So he used to say like rev share deals is the way to go. So I just went there.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they can be really good if you trust a client, unlike the first couple deals that you got. You might get screwed over at some point, but yeah, if it's a good working relationship, then that can be very lucrative. We know Arjun's story went from 10K a month to 100K a month in like a year with one client doing a 50-50 profit share deal, right? And scaled this guy from 10K a month to about 250K a month. And so he's getting half of that, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, it doesn't take that many clients, right? Especially if they're bigger businesses too, right? So we're going after people who had bigger businesses who are already doing pretty well, like big audiences and already making a fair bit of money. Because then, in my mind, it's like you can take two copywriters with the same exact skill set, right? And one writes for a six-figure business, one writes for a nine-figure business. And then like if they both improve conversions by 10% or something, okay, yeah, client A gets $10,000 more. Client B gets fucking $10 million more or whatever the difference is, right? It's like, which one do you want to be receiving commissions from, right? So is that kind of the approach that you took? Just fewer clients, but bigger and better clients?
Yeah, I just went for people who were leading in their market. I didn't want to work with people who were like below a certain threshold. People that would hamstring me because I had to work. I would have to work more and do more for them for lesser money, which didn't make sense.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of Brian. He had a pretty interesting approach where Brian was one of I think he was the first ever millionaire success story that we have. And when I say millionaire, I don't mean he made a million a year. I mean, he actually hit like a million in net worth. So yeah, he had a pretty interesting approach where he would just only have four clients at a time, but he would just constantly be looking for better clients. And so he would just trade his bottom, lowest paying, biggest pain in the ass client for a better client. And he would just like keep like, climbing a ladder, right? Just like keep trading up and up and up. And eventually, he went from making 8K a month with four clients to making 20K a month with four clients. And one of those clients was Tony Robbins and his team, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, it all comes back to this concept of like never stop doing, lead gen, never stop looking for new clients and better opportunities. Because I think too many people just get comfortable and say, oh, I got three clients in retainer, 3K a month, and they stay at 9K, 10K a month, whatever it is, for ages because they stop looking to try and grow. Yeah. So,
The, the only side part I'll say to that is if you're working with a six figure, there's a good chance a six figure will go to a nine figure within 2 months, 2 years. Uh, I'll not say the name, but there was a guy who had this coaching program at 500 at that point. He's just starting out and he wanted to work with me. I said no because it was too low at that point. And his current offer is $16,800 for the whole year for his coaching program. And I was like, okay, fuck, I missed the big one. That was my biggest regret till now.
that's right. But like for everyone who goes from six to nine figures, there's probably 95 other businesses that die or go nowhere or stay the same. Otherwise, there'd be a lot more nine-figure businesses, right? But there's not. So, yeah, put the odds in your favor by going after the people who have proven themselves already. That's what I think. Cool. All right, that was badass, man. Um, the last thing I want to hear is this 6 hours a week thing. Let's talk about that. So, how are you doing all this?
To outreach anymore. That's one of the main reasons why I only learn success in my copywriting journey. But most of my hours goes into like the new consulting offer that I'm making. So learning about like content marketing and stuff like that, that takes the majority of my time. So yeah, so I just have custom GPTs that will answer certain questions in certain way. have the week scheduled out months in advance. I do every one of my client tasks by Monday, and in the week I'll keep checking like everything is working smoothly. If it is, I don't bother. If something is wrong, I'll ask ChatGPT and they'll solve it for me. That's it for me. There's no much to it. My main goal when I started copywriting was I wanted to get 1 million in sales in emails, 1 million over in DMs, 1 million in ads, and 1 million in content. So there are two of them now. How to do two more?
There you go. That's pretty damn cool. Yeah, wow, that's interesting. So you just built custom GPTs for each client. And so whatever their copy needs are, it's pretty easy to crank it out. I mean, we've spent the last 5 months, we just released our own custom GPT, CMB Copy Pro, which is really cool. And I used it to write a full like 14-day sequence selling itself, which is pretty funny. So using itself as like the angle. But it's a true game changer, man. It's like coming from someone who's, been doing this for 7 years and writing all my emails from scratch. And then at a later point, brought in a copywriter who usually wrote the first draft, and then I would go to editing. But just being able to, from a blank slate, go from zero to an email that's 80, 90% of the way there with a prompt is really cool. And it's in my voice exactly. And it's like, there's not much to edit, right? And you're thinking,
Yeah.
it's almost too good to be true. You're sitting here like, this should be way harder. Like, this feels like cheating. Like, this is like easy money. It's like robbing a bank. This is stupid. And I'm still getting paid the same as before, right? So, and it's this crazy golden window of opportunity that we're in right now, like as freelancers and copywriters, where, AI is at the point where it's the perfect level of skill, in my opinion, where it's like can write as good as 99 or maybe, I don't know, 95% of copywriters out there. Like it can write at a really good high level, especially if you know how to prompt it properly. And it can cut out 80% of our writing time and our working time. But it's not at the point where it's like completely replaced everyone. And to be honest, I don't think it's
Mhm.
ever going to get to that point because if you think about it, it's like we've had AI for a very long time in all sorts of walks of life. Like airplanes have had autopilot for a long time, and they still need a pilot to fly the damn thing, or at least to sit there in case some shit hits the fan, right? You still got to have someone to drive the boat, to steer the ship, whatever. And so, maybe that role is going to evolve into more of a prompt engineer than a copywriter, and maybe a marketing team might be cut down from a team of 8 to a team of 4, or like whatever. But you're still going to have, yeah, I just think like for everyone watching this, it's a huge opportunity. I know there's a lot of fear mongering and stuff. People saying AI is, killed copywriters, copywriting's dead. So I hear a lot of that, and I just haven't found it to be true at all. I think we've had more people winning in CMB, right, this year, especially last month in May, than ever before in history. Pre-AI, current AI, during AI, whatever. More people landing clients, getting paid more people cracking 10K months than ever. And this was the period where everyone was supposedly, saying copywriting was supposed to be dead and AI was taking over. In fact, I even had a multimillionaire neighbor friend of mine. I sent an email about this yesterday. This guy, Chris, who he was like an early startup investor in Uber. So he got mega rich from Uber, right? This is the kind of guy who can see things coming. Tech is his whole job. He's a real Silicon Valley guy, right? He's like a visionary. And he told me 2 months ago to the day, hey, it's over for copywriters. Like those are his exact words. It was like, bro, haven't you heard of ChatGPT? Like pivot. Like it's he was like, trust me, brother, it's over for copywriters. And I was like, yeah, we'll see. And yeah, here we are 2 years later, and it's like we're doing better than ever, right? So yeah, your story's super inspiring, man, and it's even inspiring me as well to like see how I can automate more things, work smarter, not harder, and set up systems in place. So if I could get my work week down to 6 hours, holy crap, that would be a real dream come true. Well done.
Yeah. So one of the things was like most people don't understand like copywriting because copywriting was supposed to be dead by 2023, but it's still going, which is very weird because everyone used to say like AI was the one that's supposed to kill copywriting, but it's not dead. What I would say to that is like copywriters who are not good enough will be dead, but copywriters who are actually have a certain amount of, they are the ones that will work well with AI.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you can write, if ChatGPT can write good enough at like, to replace 80% of copywriters, well, it's like, yeah, if you're in the bottom 80%, maybe you should be worried. So work on your skills and up level yourself and learn how to use AI as a tool, and you should be fine. Awesome, man. Do you have any final words of wisdom for our viewers here? Any takeaways, any lessons like of your whole journey? If you could pick, like, what are some of the top lessons and takeaways that you've got? Like, if you had to pick like top three lessons, I know it's I'm throwing a hard
Well,
question at you.
there are lots of it. I have a big journal about it. So one of the main things is don't look at 10K a month, 20K a month, arbitrary numbers. Just think of your life as like 5 years from now. How do you see it? What kind of person you will be then? Try every day to live up to that person's expectations. That's how you'll get to an amount that you will be proud of and you'll be happy without burning out. That dopamine rush that you are supposed to get, you can just check your task every day saying that, oh, this is what I've achieved. This is what I was supposed to achieve. This is how I'm going to do. That's one of the main things that got me to be better. Like every day, wake up in the morning after task set. Every day before going bed, I just check what I've done, journal it again, then do the same thing for 60, 90, or 20 days. That's how I got better. So that's the main important thing. Second thing is don't go for clients before you learn the skill of what good copy or good marketing is, because you'll be stuck there just looking at the client when they start speaking certain terms and just fooled about what to know, what you don't know. And then your credibility, your main thing, the main important thing about you will fall down.
Mhm.
These are the two main. And the third massive one is once you think that something is working, employ systems in place so you can easily replace it or hire someone to do it. These three are the most important for me and the ones that I'm using currently.
No, those are really three really solid takeaways. Considering I didn't give you any sort of time to prepare that answer, that's very good. That's huge. Yeah. And then yeah, don't be afraid to be patient. You know, it's like good things take time, right? So I would say, you know, you want to be impatient in the micro and patient in the macro, right? So I adopt a mentality of being pretty impatient about things that I can control, meaning I want to move fast, I want to get it done now, I want to move as quickly as possible, I want to make the most progress, I want to be super productive about the things I can control, but I'm not being impatient about the outcome because I know the outcome is not really in my control. I can only control my actions, my habits, my behaviors. But then the actual outcome, that's what you have to have patience around that, you know, because it's like it might take 3 months, it might take 6 months, it might take a year, right? I've had people make no money for a year and then all of a sudden they go from 0 to 30K a month in 1 month. That's happened before, right? And I call it the banana curve, right? Where it's like the shit's exponential. Everyone thinks, entrepreneurship is like this smooth, linear, straight line where it's like, you know, after 1 month, I'll be at 1K. After 2 months, I'll be at 2K. 3 months at 3K. It's like, that's not how it works at all. You know, it's like you'll be at zero after month one, and then zero after month two, and then probably zero after month three. And then boom, all of a sudden you'll figure something out. All the skills will compound on each other. The skills that you've learned previously, the copywriting, the funnels, long form, VSLs, ads, like all the skills you've been learning the whole time, the client getting skills, communication skills, phone closing skills, you know, they compound on each other. And all of a sudden, bang, you have a client getting a system that works. And that's how you have someone like you who goes from 0 to 25K a month in 2 months. Crazy. Well done, man. Final question. If there's any viewers here watching and they're still on the fence and they have not yet joined us in CMB, what would you say to those people?
I'll say it's pretty dumb not to join it. I'll say the amount of value in CMB is incredible. And the most important one is the copy coaches that are there who are well trained, like beyond any person in CMB. And basically, the community is amazing. Like, even if you want feedback on your copy, you can just post it there. And sometimes, uh, even if you reach out to someone in particular, they'll be more than glad to. A lot of people have helped me and are helping me currently, and I'm sure they will help you.
Absolutely, man. And you've been an incredible part of our community as well. And so I just want to thank you for being one of those people who shares their wins and shares their successes and also shares like how they're doing it as well, you know? And I love that we've cultivated this community of, you know, nothing held back mentality, right? Where everyone actually takes time out of their day and helps the new up and comers and the people who have done well. It's like the circle of life, you know? It's like you're a beginner and then you figure it out and then you like give back to the beginners because when you were a beginner, there was someone who helped you out, right? And it's like then you pass
Yeah,
on the torch, pass on the baton by helping the new person, and then you know they become the pro, and then so on. It's like the cycle just continues. And I love that so much, you know, because there's so many other coaching programs and stuff that I've been in where no one shares anything, they keep it to themselves, they don't want anyone else knowing. And yeah, it's just like dog eat dog world, right? Versus this, it feels like we're all on a team. Everyone wants each other to win. Everyone's helping each other out. They're all sharing their lessons and what's working. And then it's like the equivalent of, if you were to have like 10 breakthroughs in 10 years, like one a year. Well, if you have 300 people who have the same amount, that's 300 breakthroughs that everyone has in a year because they all share. And so you move 300 times faster with the network effect. So, dude, that was really cool. Thank you so much for taking the time for sharing all of that. Where can people find you if they wanted to follow you, message you, work with you? Where's the best place to reach out?
Instagram is right now the only place that I'm active at, apart from WhatsApp, and I don't give WhatsApp numbers.
What's the Instagram
Instagram
handle? I'll drop
is
it below.
it's akhil.ismi, which is the most basic one that I could find, and that's the one that
Akhil.sme.
ismi, ISME.
Okay, cool. I'll drop that below. Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know I've just taken like one out of your six work hours for the week. And I know you have a busy schedule of hiking and whatever else you have to look forward to. So I'll let you get back to your family and hanging out and living your best life. And look forward to doing a follow-up interview when you crack 100K a month, because I'm sure that's coming pretty soon as well.
Should be nice.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you heaps. Take care. Have an incredible rest of your day. And I'll see you soon. Keep crushing it, man.